Today, what a treat that game was last night. What an absolute treat. That is, maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm just becoming more appreciative in COVID of anything other than isolation. I had a ball watching that game with a buddy last night. Had an absolute ball watching the Chargers and the Raiders.
No way. That game was so fun.
It was so fun.
It was crazy. Marcus Mariota comes out like from where, running all over the place, making big plays, and then of course turns the ball over. It was wild. I loved it.
I know. Sometimes everybody was criticizing the NBA bubble, and I'm like, are you kidding me? We're in a pandemic. We got virtual fans, and I get to watch this NBA basketball with all this intensity. I'm like, I'm having the time of my life locked into my house.
It's wonderful.
So I want to start with this. I remember watching Charles Barkley in his first couple years in the NBA. He played in Philadelphia, and he didn't have all the games on all the time. So you'd see highlight. We didn't have YouTube. You didn't have Google. You didn't have all the cable stuff where you'd see every game every night. But I remember getting glimpses of him, and he could shoot jumpers. He could score in transition. He had a big butt. He could score down low. And I remember thinking, watching him, I'm like, God, points come so easy to Charles Barkley. He could score out. He could score in. He scores in transition. He could dribble for a big guy. And I'm like, good God. What can't he do? That reminds me of Justin Herbert. He's big, he's strong, he can run, he's 6'6". It shouldn't look this easy for a rookie with no preseason. It should not look this easy. Joe Burrow's good. It doesn't look easy. Baker Mayfield's got talent. Tua's got talent. It doesn't look easy. Josh Allen is exceptional. Do you remember his rookie year? He completed 52% of his throws. He had more picks than touchdowns. It was never easy for Josh Allen. Okay, this just is easy. This is throw and catch. And I want to hear about the Raiders' defense. It shouldn't look like this. This is not the way it's supposed to look. First of all, the great news for when you get a great quarterback, it creates clarity. So the Chargers will know going forward, if you're not scoring enough points, you got to fire the offensive coordinator. And if you're not winning enough games, you got to fire the head coach. If you get a guy like Mitch Trubisky, it's finger pointing. I thought Matt Nagy was a good coach. Maybe he's not. Is it the offensive line? Is our GM clueless? Trubisky wins games, but it's always question marks. You drive to the facility now with the Chargers knowing if we don't win and score, then it's got to be the coordinator or the coach or we have a bad offensive line. It creates complete clarity. When Andrew Luck showed up and he was winning, but you weren't winning enough, it's like, oh, they had to fire the GM. GM's not good enough. We got to get rid of the coach. When you get one of these once-a-decade talents, Trevor Lawrence, if he doesn't win in New York, you're going to be like, okay, we got the wrong coach or the wrong GM or a bad offensive line. And listen, I like Anthony Lynn. I know Anthony Lynn, but they've lost 16 one-possession games in 2 years. Atlanta, Detroit, those are the two other teams that kept losing close games. They fired their coaches. I think Anthony Lynn's in trouble. I thought he took the ball out of Justin Herbert's hands last night. I mean, good God, they couldn't stop him. He stopped using him. Then when they went back to overtime, they're like, all right, kid, crank it up. Boom, they won the game. I didn't love that. I didn't think it was a great night for Anthony Lynn. But here's the good news for the Chargers, is that this kid is so talented. I mean, there's three organizations right now. The Jets are going to get Trevor Lawrence, and they're going to get a coach. The Texans have Deshaun Watson, and they're going to get a coach. And the Chargers have Justin Herbert and may get a coach. Boy, Los Angeles becomes very attractive. If Brian Daboll's out there or an Urban Meyer, you live in L.A., it's a built-to-win roster, you're just losing close games, Herbert's only getting better. Very rarely do you take over a job in the NFL and get this, or Deshaun Watson or Trevor Lawrence. You end up taking over a job and getting a quarterback who's probably a backup that you forced into a starter, and you got to draft one, and you can whiff on the first one. That's a very Cleveland experience. Or, no. The Texans, the Jets, and the Chargers, you got a star ready to win. And this kid, unlike Deshaun Watson's never had injuries, and this kid, unlike Trevor Lawrence, we've already seen him play in the NFL. Charger ownership is very sensitive. They can't sell tickets. They've gotten a lot of negative press for the move from San Diego, where I do think they fit better. So Charger ownership, prove us wrong. Prove us wrong. Because if you can't win with that kid, then you got the wrong coach. If you can't score a lot of points with that kid, then you've got the wrong offensive coordinator. Because it does not look like that for a a rookie. Ever. Elway didn't look like that. Nobody looks like that. Mahomes didn't even play his first year. That's not what it's supposed to look like. I mean, the only time he wasn't flying up and down the field is when the coach took the ball out of his hands. So do what you want with Anthony Lynn. I worry about the one-possession losses. That's as games get late, the decisions get harder. I don't know. But I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, this has such a Barkley feel to it. The kid's big. Quarterback sneak, he's great. Run him, he's great. Arm, great. 4.2 biology major, brainiac, great. I said, he's Andrew Luck, but a way better arm. That's unbelievable. All right, so I want to talk about John Gruden for a second. I know John. I like John.